So whenever you're ready to do your thing, go.
Hi, I'm Phil Newton, and you're listening to Vroom, Vroom, Veer. I got it wrong already, didn't I?
A little bit, but that's okay. Take two.
Hi, I'm Phil Newton. I'm from unhustled.com, and you're listening to Vroom, Vroom, Veer.
Well done. See? Second time was charm. Okay, I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Travis Jones, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, you got up early for me, so thank you. It's noon by me. It's really early in the morning there in Australia, so I appreciate you getting up early for me. And you've got your workout in. You probably meditated and had caffeine all before you see me. So I'm honored. Thank you. So
caffeinated and ready to roll.
There you go. You are caffeinated and ready to rock and roll. I appreciate that. So you are at, among other places, rbtgyms.com. So talk a little bit about what you've got going on in your business that you're excited about these days. Businesses, probably.
Yeah. We've got, 21 gyms. We've got 2 in the States and 19 in Australia.
Wow.
The 2 in the States are up in Michigan, in Detroit.
Awesome.
But in the 19 across Australia, we started 8 years ago. I started 8 years ago, and I had to live in the business, and we've grown it through some heartaches, and now it's doing 8 figures plus, and it's growing, which is fantastic. And we transform lives. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like RBT was created because I was sick of gyms having people as a number and not a name. So I wanted to create a gym which was everyone was a name, everyone was a community, and we actually increased people's potential in life. And I think that's the biggest thing we do.
Wow. That sounds amazing. Good for you. So RBT, that stands for results-based training, right? So talk a little bit about the philosophy, because I think I get it, but I think if I hear you talk about it, it might be a little bit more interesting. How'd you come up with that name?
Yeah, when we're looking at result-based training, I guess, everything comes down to the name, right? Like for us, That's what we do. We get results. So we use a scientific based approach. So it's not, it's not hope-based training. It's not, we might get you there based training.
Okay.
It's result. Like we get someone, we get them in, we get them on a scanner. We look at their muscle mass, their body fat mass. We look at their goals and what that would be like at their body fat mass. And, then we basically tell them how long it's going to take them. So if we average them out at, 0.5% fat loss per week and they want to lose 10% body fat, we'll let them know it's going to take approximately 20 weeks to get there. Mm-hmm. And, this is your current metabolic rate or, your calories that you're burning each day. And we're going to drop you into a little bit of a deficit. So essentially what happens is your body's going catabolic. It's breaking down. Mm-hmm. We make sure we let them understand that you have to eat this amount of protein. So we're not, cannibalizing our muscle mass, but we're cannibalizing our fat mass. Then we do weight training as well. So obviously with weight training, we're going to preserve muscle mass as well. So when we're looking to drop someone's fat, all we're doing is we're trying to have enough calories to, cannibalize our fat and do the weight training to preserve our muscle so someone can drop fat and get their ideal body composition.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And we do it through strength training. Yeah. So we look at programming as far as progressive overloads. We make sure people are getting stronger each and every week, and we do it in a group-based environment. So there's, 10 to 12 people per coach, and we program them to get stronger every week.
So it's not just like that is like completely different than a typical gym membership. That is completely different. Gym membership basically means, if you pay the monthly fee, you can come through the door.
Yeah, literally.
There it is. Now, if you want anything else, then, you go, okay, so you want a trainer, they're over there, right? But they're not going to do what you just said.
No, like I think the biggest thing for us is, most gyms, and this is where I want to flip it on the head, like most gyms had, I think it's about an 80% no-show rate. So I think have 20% active members.
Right.
Now I want to flip the whole model, which is we have an 80% to 90%, we're pushing show ratio. If someone doesn't turn up to a session that there's programmed for them, we give them a call and we like, where are you? Are you okay? What's happened? Make sure you get in tonight. So we're making sure we're getting an 80 to 90% show ratio instead, which is keeping people accountable to their goals.
Nice.
So we're essentially like a micro gym. We have about 250 to 300 members per gym, and we try and create solid communities of people actually getting results rather than just signing up to feel good about themselves.
Yeah, actually, that I noticed something when I retired from the military. I was in the Air Force 20 years. I got out, right, and while I was in, I thought nothing about like the group, the kind of like the herd effect, I like to call it, of just being in the military, right? Of just being around other young people who are like force-fed nutrition and fitness. It was not optional, right? We had to show up. I think we were doing only two workouts as a group a week, which, while I was in, I thought they were dumb. Right. I showed up, I did them. I thought they were dumb. Right. But then as soon as I got out, oh my God, my weight, my fat and my weight just went through the roof. I was like, what's going on? Right. And I lost that group effect of just being around other healthy people. That's a big deal.
Well, yeah, you are the sum of the five people. And I think the biggest thing for us is, with RBT, developing a community that's inclusive, that invites people in. We look at their standards they're having around their current life and what got them to where they are. So, if you don't have standards around your sleep then, or your nutrition or your training, then that is your standards. You have none. So we look at what their standards were and what their standards need to be to achieve this body transformation. So the standards, if it's, you have to sleep 49 hours a week, you have to, train 4 times a week or 4 hours a week. You have to, sit in this calorie deficit, or you have to eat 6 out of 7 days to your macronutrients or whatever it is. Like, okay, these are the standards we are now living by to achieve the results we want in life. So we have more energy, so we have more confidence. And now you're in a community that's actually going to keep you accountable to your standards, who lift you up, who don't go, like, oh, no, you're obsessed, or, oh, don't do that, you're okay. It's like, no, people are trying to strive to become better. So they want to get pulled along. And I think that's what we're trying to create.
That's pretty amazing. I love it. So, okay. So let's go back in time, because I wanted to say this. I don't do this often enough, but look, you're a successful guy. You're relatively young and you kind of have won, right? So congratulations on just being a successful human being. And maintaining, you seem like a nice person. You're not, I wouldn't put you in the dickhead category so far. Maybe the jury's still out, but no. So just congratulations, right? So way to go.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. So on one of your other podcasts that I did a little digital snooping and a little digital stalking, you said one of your favorite books was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And it was kind of a pivotal read for me too. So I just wanted to see if we could have a little chat about your thoughts on that book and just what it means to you now.
Yeah, I think that book was such a good thing for me. Like, I read it when I was in my late 20s. I'm 34 now. And I think so many men go through this struggle with significance or blame, or they go through so much in their 20s. Ego that they have to try and let go of. And some men don't let go of it until their 60s. But
right. Some people never do.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, like, I read this book and I was like, wow. One of my favorite quotes is like, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And I think that's it's everything.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Right.
So like, I'm looking at this whenever I have trouble in business. I'm like, okay, I can't change this situation right now. No, I'm challenged to actually change myself, change my belief structure, or change how I'm coming to the situation, or change how I'm showing up. I think that's a big thing. And then also, like, I think, I chose the wrong emotions a lot of the time in my 20s. I would get frustrated. I would get angry. Someone had like a bit of I guess I'd have a bit of a short temper, but it wasn't serving me. And I read this book, and it put everything into perspective for me. Like, Viktor Frankl, he's going through the Holocaust. People are getting pulled out. They're dying. People.
Right. Yeah, he's literally watching people just basically fade away. Just quit living. Basically, it's just like, that I think when he described the people that weren't dead yet, but had quit and given up and just stopped moving, I was like, wow, right?
It gives you tingles, right? You're like, holy crap.
Wow, okay, they're not physically dead yet, but he knows it's going to happen. Now it's just time, that because they've lost the will to live, Yeah.
And then like for him, for that moment that you just said there, it's like, he says, like, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how.
Correct. Yes.
So like for me, I have 2 kids now. Like I have this 4-year-old Jackson. I have a 1-year-old Finn. And, that shifted also about 4 years ago for me. It wasn't about making money. It wasn't about, anything with business anymore. It was like, I wanted to create a legacy. I wanted to be a role model. I wanted to wake up every day and them to be proud of their dad. I wanted to make sure that they were like, wow, I can do, doesn't matter where I'm born on this world, I can, achieve anything I want to if I, have a big enough why. And I think that's the biggest thing that anyone can have. If you find your why, if you create this purpose, then you can follow your passion. And while the how essentially may be tough at times, the why will push you through. And I think that's another massive, takeaway I got from that book.
Yeah, because his why, I think, was basically while he was there, he sort of like made up a new psychotherapy kind of, maybe a psychological therapy method, I think. And he was like, I must survive to bring this to the world. Right? And I don't care if I have to eat a fish head soup every day and avoid getting beaten to death by Nazis. I'm going to do it,
It's crazy, right?
Right.
No, it's absolutely crazy. And then the other thing is like the last part I really took away from that book. There's so many takeaways I had, but the last part I was saying before is like I would get, the stimulus to response, and I used to like snap a little bit. I used to get frustrated. And well, I think this is the thing with most people in life. They don't understand there's a difference between the stimulus of the action and the response we're giving it, response from our actions, but also the response that we're choosing inside our emotions. Like, so many of us don't actually believe that we're choosing our emotions. We just, subconsciously the emotions appear, right? Like I tell people, like, someone cuts me off in traffic. And when someone cuts you off in traffic, all of a sudden you might flip them the bird and like tell them to piss off or whatever you're going to do. But it's like, why are you choosing that emotion? You don't know why they're cutting you off. Maybe they cut you off because their kid's in hospital and they're rushing to see them before maybe their child dies. Like, would you still flip them the bird? Would you still get frustrated? Or will you choose empathy? Would you please say, please cut every single other person off. Please get there as fast as you can.
Right. You don't know. You
don't know. Right. You don't know what people are going through, but we choose these emotions that don't even serve us because we choose frustration instead, and we take that frustration and it changes our state. So we go from a positive state to a negative state, and then we take that negative state into our next encounter with another human being, and we get to work. We yell at Julie, the receptionist, or whoever it is. It's the flow-on effect because we chose the wrong emotion at the wrong time, because we couldn't expand the gap between the stimulus of someone cutting me off and the response. I didn't breathe, take in 1, 2, 3 seconds to breathe in, breathe out, and go, you know what, maybe they're having a bad day. Like, don't worry, it's okay. You can cut me off.
I think that's one of the lessons and benefits that you get from a meditation practice. That whole, like, just noticing, right? That yes, there is like as you get cut off, I don't think you can avoid the feeling, right? But you can choose what to do with it, right? Like I think
Definitely.
you're going to be like, that asshole, right? In your head, right? But but then you can do the next thing is, like you said, like notice that, okay, all right, that happened. Okay. And then take your breath and then get into the next step. It's not mandatory to act on the first sort of like whatever the knee-jerk program response is. That's not required. You have a choice. I think people are missing the fact that they actually do have a choice in that response. Right.
I think that's the biggest thing, man. Like, I think that people forget the choices they have in life. Like, every moment is a choice to be a different human being. Yeah. And, he says in that book, and that's the last thing I'll probably say about the book, but which is like, everything can be taken from me, but one thing, and it's the last of the human freedoms, the ability or the attitude to choose one's own way in any given circumstance. Right. So you can do anything to me, but I will choose how I respond. And I think that's what we need to take into our life. Like, you can say something to me negatively, you can say something about me negatively, but that doesn't force me to respond back to you in the way that you want. I'll choose my own way in this world, and I'll choose the response that I want. And I think, when you're growing a business or you're trying to achieve anything in life, there's going to be people trying to pull you down. There's going to be people who will, the naysayers or the haters, but you get to choose how you take that in. Like, that's the world, right? Like, tough it up.
Yeah, that's the world. That's right. I'll promise to say this is the last thing I'll say about that book, but it was amazing. Where he actually had sympathy for the Nazi guards. I thought that was like, really? It took me like a couple of months, I think, to actually swallow that, to make that choice that, was he was like, I have sympathy because like some of these guards seem like they're really getting into these beatings, and some of them seem like they're pained about what's going on here. And that's when he saw these Nazi guards that were avoiding, the beatings, and they were avoiding being cruel, but they still were there and they had to do it. He actually had sympathy for these people. I was like, wow, how do you find that? I don't think you can find that outside that environment, right? Maybe.
No, it's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Right. Okay, so thank you for sharing your thoughts on a great book that everybody should check out. It's a life changer for sure. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So let's talk a little bit about, I know you've got a great story about the before you started your gym and you were successful. So not everybody comes out the womb like really fit and strong and handsome and having a multi-million-dollar business. So that was too bad. That would be awesome. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. But
they just in China, actually, they just had the first genetically modified baby. I think they actually have.
Wow.
They're literally creating, super soldiers now. I found out this week.
Wow.
It's like next. I know, it's crazy, right?
Now I'm gonna have to Google that. Chinese super soldiers. That's like the plot of the X-Files right there.
No, legit, right?
So let's talk about the story of how you had to struggle to make your dream come true, because that's pretty amazing and most people don't get to do that, but you did. So talk a little bit about it. You were young, you were trying to get this business off the ground, and you had to go through some struggles. So
yeah, like I think the biggest thing is, like, I'll reflect back just a moment. Like, I was 18, I wanted to actually play professional sports for a living, and I got contracted to a footy team, or a rugby league team, in the off season, and unfortunately, I came down with something called meningococcal. Meningococcal is like a bacterial disease from sharing drink bottles. It's weird. Like, 1 in 3 people carry it, but people don't get sick from it. And I was staying at a friend's house. I passed out, like when I was having a shower, they called the ambulance. The ambulance knocked the door down. I had about 30 seconds to live. They pulled me into the hospital. I flatlined 4 times. I had kidney failure. I was in intensive care for like 3 months.
Wow.
And when I got out of hospital, I tried to, I lost, that summer contract that I had, and I tried again. I broke my neck. I tore, multiple different muscles over the next 2 years trying to follow the dreams of sport. And I think as a sporting person, like you have to appreciate the fact that you just keep pushing to try and achieve your dreams. And there's this like delayed gratification. I think that, everyone nowadays wants instant gratification. You look at the Olympians, they train for 4 years for like 10 seconds.
I know. That's crazy.
So it's crazy, right? So it's like, I think back then, like, I think that's when, I didn't really ever need the instant gratification. Like I trained for, probably from when I was 5 years old to try and, get this dream. And when I was 20, I was like, I think I broke my collarbone and tore my AC joint for the last time. And I was like, you know what, like I'm going to pursue a different career. And I always wanted to, like, it's pretty, ego driven, but I was doing a personal training thing for a while, and I always wanted $1 million business before I was 30, and I was 26 years old. And
you're getting close.
I was like, okay, my life's okay, but I'm never going to do what I said I was going to do. And I'm not one of those people who just says stuff and never follows through. I was like, you're not a liar. Why are you lying to yourself? And I was just having this internal dialogue. And I was like, well, why? You're not going to do what you said you're going to do. You've always said you're going to have this $1 million business by the time you're 30, but you're never going to achieve it. So I was like, okay, well, it's time to open a gym then. And I had no money. And I was working. Yeah, I was like, okay, let's do this.
I'm going to open a gym with no money. All right.
Yeah.
But you did it.
Like, yeah, I did it, right? So I sort of had this plan to train 216 people in a group environment because I love the group environment from sport. And okay. I said I was going to train 216 people. I'm going to charge them $50 a week, and I'm going to make $570,000. And I sort of did like this. I know, right? Like,
you've done the math, so good for you. Yeah.
I did my numbers back then, and how am I going to do it? Well, I'm just going to walk the streets and I'm going to get people in. I needed some cash at the start, so I had a car. I sold my car, and I needed an extra $25,000. So I basically, everyone I knew I had a meeting with, and it took the 52nd person I had a meeting with. 51 people said no. The 52nd person lent me $25,000 for 4% of the original location. So it's like, 51 no's. And I often think, like, and this comes down to sales as well. If I knew at meeting 48 or meeting 49 that the 52nd would say yes, I would have been so excited, right? Be like, oh, I'm just 3 away. I would tell you what, though. Like, I was like, maybe I'm crazy. Like, everyone's saying no.
Right.
But lucky I'm stubborn enough to keep going forward. So, I got this 25K. I moved into the gym because I couldn't afford rent at home and rent, for the lease at the same time. So I was living upstairs with my dog in this like 3 meter by 3 meter room on a mattress on the ground. And I was like, okay, I've got to make this work.
You were literally a gym rat.
I was, right? I didn't have a kitchen. I sort of showered in this sort of shower we had inside.
You have a shower, one shower in the gym there. It's a good business for being homeless. So good for you.
Yeah, exactly. So,
you had most of what you needed, maybe just a hot plate,
Yeah, like that's exactly what I had. It was like a hot plate, and that's how I started. So, I would walk the streets. There was a park around the corner, and people used to eat there at lunchtime. And I was like, if I talk to 100 people a week, and I offered them this 28-day challenge for free. So every day at lunchtime, I'd walk up to 20 people. And if I talked to 100 people a week, I knew 20 people would say yes, and 80 people would tell me to get lost.
Right.
I did that. I did that for the first 4 to 5 months. I just walked up to 100 people a week. And every week, 20 people would say yes. And I started to build my business purely by walking the streets and offering people to try my service. And I built it to probably about $250,000, $300,000 purely by walking the streets.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like, I think, these days.
That's a good way to get a workout, too.
Exactly.
That's
Like
a
you
lot
gotta
of
think
walking.
about the amount of steps I was doing was crazy. It's great for some fat loss.
Yeah.
But like, everyone these days sits behind a computer and they don't ever want to connect with anyone. It's, business is human to human, not B2B or B2C. So like for me, I overcame a lot of rejection. I overcame a lot of limiting beliefs. But then also about 5-6 months in, I'm like, I need to be smarter instead of just working harder. Because this might be okay for one location, but I'm never going to grow this business to anything grand if I'm never going to hit that $1 million if I just keep walking the streets, because I can do this for one location, but I can't do this for multiple.
Right.
So I saw this guy in the States, actually. He was a mentor and he was running this promotion, which is like whoever could represent his website the best. They won a year of mentoring, and the people in his mastermind, there was like Bill Phillips, who wrote Body for Life, and he was doing millions of dollars, and there was like a bunch of other people in this mastermind. I was like, I need to get into it. I was like, how can I represent this blog the best? And I was like, there's people holding up signs of his website at the Eiffel Tower and the Empire State Building and all around the world. And I was living in Melbourne. I was like, what can I do? And it was like over 30 days he did this, and it came down to day 30. I'm like, how am I going to do it? I drove down to the tattoo parlor or tattoo shop, and I tattooed his website across the back of my shoulder. And I took a photo and I sent it to him. And he was like, man, you are the craziest person I know.
That's commitment.
You tattooed my website to you. Yeah. But from there, I won a year of mentoring. I started to understand blogging and social media and content creation. And from then I had about 7 or 8 other mentors. But, that was the step. Within a year and a half, I opened the second location. I had an online business, and, things started to compound from there. And I think the biggest thing for me, like, that was a line in the sand. And I think we all have these lines in the sand. It's like, you know what? I'm willing to do whatever it takes to succeed in business. And that was I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Wow. There's a lot to unpack there. Yeah, that was amazing. So again, congratulations. So it's fun. It's a fun story to go from, homeless guy living in a gym, who scrounged, $25,000. And, the thing is you had no guarantee that you were actually going to be able to pay that back. So that people have they don't sort of understand the amount of risk that you're sort of piling on to your homeless young self there. So that takes some serious amount of intestinal fortitude, right? Just guts,
it was, it's crazy, right? Like, I think, the first 3 months were pretty tough because I was training all these people for free, trying to flip them into paying. And,
right.
When I first got the equipment, I think you have to think outside of the box when you're looking at opening any type of business. I didn't have enough money or finance to open up, to get the equipment. So I found our equipment supplier, I Googled brand new fitness equipment suppliers. And I found this guy, Simon, and he was brand new to the game. He'd been into supply his business for about 2-3 months. And I called him up. I was like, Simon, I can tell you're new into the industry, and, I'm going to open up multiple gyms, and I'd like to start a relationship with you. I'm new also. You got to have confidence, right? I'm new also, man. But I can't get financing. But what I can do is I can pay you cash every month for the equipment over 12 months. If I miss a payment, you can take the equipment off me because you're going to deliver it to me. So do you agree that I can just pay you cash and you're going to fit out my gym? And he said yes. And that's how I just paid monthly payments for my equipment. And that's the first. I was like, you got to think outside the box. And I think 3 months in, I have this other story about a sauna. I won't go into that today, but I sort of manifested some cash out of nothing. And month 4, I didn't have enough money to pay the rent. And I was like, okay, who has $12,000 that I can borrow for the lease? And there's someone I was working with previously. I borrowed $12,000 and I signed a contract that, in 12 weeks that I would pay them $24,000 back. So they doubled their money because I knew I was going to work. I just believed in it. And, they got their $24,000. And, after that first 6 months of roller coaster, trying building this momentum, because business takes momentum. You got to push. After 6 months, I had a bit of a carry-on effect. And I think from then on in, like it kept growing. And to tell you what, like, running an 8-figure business is just as stressful as running a 6-figure business. You're just stressing over different things now. You're focused. We've got 100+ staff, across 2 countries, like there's gyms in every state in Australia. It's crazy right now, but it's a different type of stress. And the stress I had back then was still enjoyable.
Right.
But so does the stress now. I believe that stress, if you can look at it differently, like every obstacle is an opportunity, but the obstacles that are placed in front of you are there truly because they are pushing you to rise to your potential in life. They're like, okay, this is the obstacle you should have right now in your life. And you need to dig deeper, and you need to become someone else to actually overcome this obstacle. So I look at them as these challenges to challenge me to become a better human being, or, find my true potential in life. And if we can, reframe these obstacles to something like that, then we actually invite all these obstacles into our life. We don't run for them. We don't get scared from them. We don't get stressed from them.
Right.
And then it allows the journey to be actually an enjoyable one rather than this one full of stress and we're trying to find the end of it.
Right. Yeah. I can imagine like the stress now is like, and world's different because you've got like lots of layers of safety and it just feels less risky. But that doesn't mean it's any less stressful. It's still stress. It's just a different kind of stress. It's like the successful man's stress, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I bet I also saw on your Instagram that you had a little thing, I guess, little picture of you doing something, but you had gratitude and abundance on there. So, and those are 2 big, important words in my meditation practice, that I wanted to have you share your thoughts on. Do you have like a gratitude and abundance kind of mindset or a practice?
I definitely do. do.
Okay.
Like, with my wife, every day I wake up and I have to write down personally the 3 things I'm grateful for in life. And they're different things every single day. And then every single night I share with my wife, we sit there and it's like, what are 3 things that you were grateful for that happened today? So I bookend my days with gratitude. So one's actually, having a conversation with my partner, asking her, and it's not rather than what used to happen was like, how was your day? I'm like, yeah, good. But now we actually have a conversation. So, like we talk about the great things. And the reason why I bookend my day is there's so much negativity in the world. I want more gratitude in my life. I want more positivity in my life. So I start my day with gratitude. It puts me in a positive state. I end my day with gratitude. And what happens is when we're looking at like a reticular activating system, what we look at more of, we see more of. So it's the same as if you've ever bought a new car and then you see that car everywhere and you're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden they're everywhere.
Yes,
because
that's a real thing.
You have this heightened awareness of that new car. So
and you've never seen it before, right?
Literally. So, like,
you didn't even know that model existed, and then you bought it, and suddenly they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. You're like, oh my gosh, my car is everywhere. I want to give it back. But that's why I do gratitude, because I want to see it everywhere. I want to change my perception on this world. And I started with gratitude and I finish with gratitude. And I just see these moments of gratitude all day long because I'm looking for it to share it with my wife at night. And now that you just become a happier person, you become a more positive person. I think that the happy, positive people in the world, they're the ones that get everything. Like, you can never get a positive thing from a negative state or a negative energy. And I think, there needs more positivity. It's positivity in the world.
For sure. My wife and I have this, we have like a morning prayer session where we're basically doing gratitude and then asking God to give us stuff, or the universe, whatever you want to call it. Right. So yeah, I kind of miss it because right now she's in Japan. So I should be doing it by myself, but I don't. I just get up and go to work. But when she gets back, I'll be back on track. Tomorrow. She's coming back tomorrow. So good thing.
Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. So the other thing that I like about that, especially that thing about the reticular activation system that you were talking about, it's almost as if we're programming the matrix when we're doing that, right? As if it's like, I'm assuming I'm in the matrix now and I'm going to say what I want to see. I love that.
True.
You know, whether or
Yeah, so
not
true.
we're in the matrix or not, even if it's a lie, we can, sometimes a useful fantasy can be helpful, right? So, you know, that was another thing that I liked about the whole gratitude abundance thing. So anyway,
So much.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your meditation practice and what that looks like. I've been meditating for a while too, so I always like to get some more tips and strategies.
Yeah, for me, I've done a few meditations over time because, again, the whole stimulus to response thing we sort of talked about earlier, and I wanted to calm my mind. I wanted a bit more focus, and I was a little bit, I had a lack of focus, so I was distracted all the time. I was like, okay, I need meditation. Everyone kept talking about meditation, so I did a course on Transcendental Meditation.
Oh, right, that's very popular. Yeah.
Yeah, so I tried that. Actually, didn't gel with me. Like it wasn't.
okay.
Like I know so many people love it, and they sit there and they have their own sound and they say their own sound in their head, and they detach from the sound and they go for 20 minutes twice a day. And like I did it for a while, and I was like, you know what, like this isn't really for me. And I think you have to find a meditation that actually makes it easy for you to do at the same time. It should be hard, but like, it's easy. You enjoy it.
Right.
So then the next thing I was like, okay, I'm just going to get the Headspace app. And I did that for like a year.
The Headspace app is great.
Yeah. And like I started with that guy, and I did another year of meditation with him, and just listening each morning and doing that.
He's got the perfect voice for a meditation coach. What's his name? Like Tony or something? The guy from England.
I can't remember. Yeah. But so I did that for about a year, and then I did a Wim Hoff seminar, which is like the Iceman, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's like it's dangerous. Yeah. You can die if you don't if you screw around with that. Right. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
So like,
talk about it.
Seminar. So I was like sitting inside like they teach you some breathing techniques, and they're talking about oxygenating the body, and then all of a sudden you're sitting in like 1 degree Celsius, like ice baths, and you're sitting for like 3-4 minutes and your body's like freezing, and it's detaching your it's you actually controlling your body, you controlling your nervous system. It's pretty amazing. So what I've done for the last year is really just use his breathing techniques in the morning for about 20 minutes. So I want to sort of make sure I'm oxygenating my body, and it's a bit of a reset. So it's not your standard meditation, but it's my centering, it's my meditation practice that I do now.
I like it.
Yeah, like I'll breathe in for 6 seconds and I'll breathe out for 3 seconds, and I'll do that for about 40 to 50 times. And what I'm doing is I'm taking in more oxygen that I'm letting go of. Yeah. So I'm taking in 6 seconds, I'm breathing out 3 seconds, and I'm oxygenating my body. And on that last like 40 to 50th breath, I'll hold my breath as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So I'll hold it. Yeah, like I'll hold it for a minute or 2 minutes or something like that. And when you first start, you might do it for 30 seconds. Like that's okay.
You have to build up. Yep.
Yeah, you have to build up. And then, at the end of that, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to breathe. And then you do it again, and you do it like 3 to 4 times.
Yeah.
And on that last one, like a couple of times, like you hear this like little ringing sensation in your ears or tingling of your body.
Yep.
It's your body kind of resetting for the day. And, you're doing it for about, this 15 to 20 minutes. And after it, you're just laying there for another 5 minutes, and your body has so much oxygen. You're so alive that, you barely have to breathe. Your body is, your breaths become so shallow because you're full of oxygen. You're full of life.
I did this Kundalini yoga thing. Have you ever tried Kundalini yoga?
No, I haven't.
It's really cool, but they're very much focused on the, like really, connecting to the breath and the movement. Okay. And it was in one of those where I had that body tingle, what you were just talking about after the 20 minutes of Kundalini. And I was like, wow, I feel like I'm high on marijuana right now. Yeah, and I got all of that from just breathing and some gentle movements. And these movements, some of these movements are hard. I don't want to say they're not hard. Some of them are easy though. So I was doing the easy ones, And it was mostly about the breathing, right? It's sort of like, we're going to get you to breathe first and make the movement super easy. And then later on, we'll make the movements more hard so you get a little bit more of a workout. So then I get this aha moment, kind of like, I wasted all that money on weed. When I was a kid. I haven't had it in a while, but it was like most of the high from weed is probably just, appropriate breathing.
It's crazy. And it's amazing for me. Yeah. Like, and that's my type of meditation I do each day. And, I've gone through it. I think you have to find the right meditation for you. And those people who tell me, oh, I can't meditate because I can't focus. It's like, no, that's why you need to meditate. Like, it will help with your focus.
Right. Yes.
But yeah.
Most people that try to meditate, they're kind of like coming at it from all the stuff that's not really meditation. Right. So it's like they think, you're supposed to sit there and not think. No. That's literally impossible. Yeah, that doesn't happen. It never happens, but you can notice that you're thinking, right? And then breathe some more. And then
that's okay.
Right. And that's totally, I think what everybody needs to know is whatever you do while you're quote unquote meditating, just keep doing it. Set a timer for 20 minutes and judge not. And just let those 20 minutes go by, and don't do anything else. Maybe you just sit there and daydream and let the 20 minutes go by. Count that as a successful meditation. You'll be a little bit better the next day. There's no rules. Anyway.
Yeah, and people think it's right or wrong. And at the same, I tell people to start a journaling practice as well, because I think sometimes it's really calming and it allows them to get their thoughts out of their head and they can stop being frustrated or everything.
Helps you sleep a lot.
Helps you sleep. Yeah, it's like ask yourself a question right at the top of the page and then just like journal that question. They're like, oh, but what if I write the wrong thing? I'm like, guys, like, it's your journal. Right. You can't. It's impossible to write the wrong thing. This is for you and only you. So what if it's right or wrong or whatever you think, like there is no such thing because it's just words on a piece of paper that you are writing, like, and you're just getting them out of your head at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yes. It's almost like if you write it down, your brain is like says, oh, okay, he wrote it down. I don't have to think about that anymore. Some piece of you. Yeah. Some piece of you said, oh, well, okay. Or, you can take the other programming the matrix thing. Like if you write something down before you go to bed, like, that thing at work is really bothering me. And there's this stupid thing that I have to fix for Entrust and everybody's encryption and their email isn't working. And I don't know who I have to talk to. And right. You just write all that down. Right. Right. And then when you start thinking about solving the problem in the middle of the night, you go, you don't have to worry about that. You wrote it down. It's a good trick. It works. Yeah. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Hey, have you ever heard of this guy named Steve Baxter?
No, I haven't.
No, he's on the Australian version of Shark Tank. Check him out.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you've heard of the Shark Tank show?
Yep. Yeah, I do. Yes, I have.
So Steve Baxter. I'll shortcut this. The reason why I bring it up is just because he's from Australia and you are too. And he's another Australian guy that I happen to know. Right. So you ask yourself, how do you get to know like a guy that is I don't even know how many millions of dollars he has. He's a really rich dude. But way back when, let's see here, like around 2005, Steve and I were listening to a nerdy podcast from some dudes in Phoenix, Arizona. And we both started going to their parties. And for years, Steve was just a guy that I knew as Enormous from the podcast. We called him Enormous. It's a long story. And then later, like in 2014, like 10 years later, and, more or less the podcast has faded and it's gone. And there was one more party in 2014 and it was kind of like their podcast is gone now. And that was the last time I saw Steve in person lately. Maybe I'll see him again. But that's when I found out that whole time here, he is I thought he's just this ordinary guy drinking buddy, and he's actually this multimillionaire famous dude in Australia. So anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, the story was he was thinking about investing in podcasting, right? But his investment strategy is he wants to make friends first. And then if he can make right, if he can make a friend, then he might be able to do business. So he made friends, but he didn't do business. But anyway, I digress. So as we wrap up, let's talk a little bit more. Do you want to talk about any of your other businesses? Because I know you've got the Keystone Health and Fitness, you've got Think Tank Australia, and Attain Digital Agency. So you've got a lot of stuff going on. You're not just a one-trick pony here, right?
No. We started a health and fitness sort of software company.
Okay.
Last year. So we've just been building that out. We've got 4 or 5 developers on staff. We're building out this app and software that helps gyms, personal trainers communicate, track results with their clients on a minute by minute basis. So people can track anything they're eating, they're sleeping, they can track their training, and it goes straight to a portal where their gym or coach can see, and where obviously they can talk back and forth on optimizing the steps they're taking or the food they're eating. So it allows a coach to become a better coach. So that's something we started last year, and we're always innovating that. And our goal is to properly market that and push it out into the marketplace over the next year. It's just been organic growth so far, which has been fantastic. Just people coming in and testing it out and saying, hey, let me keep paying you.
Nice.
And then we have a digital agency, and we do marketing with more ROI-based marketing, like lead generation through Facebook and Instagram for about 50 to 60 companies around the world.
Wow.
We started that because of the gyms. No one could get us the lead generation that we wanted or needed. So we're like, fair enough. We'll start. Yeah. So we started a lead generation company, and now we do it across multiple industries. We'll go from martial arts to yoga to Pilates to swim schools to fitness businesses. It's more in the health sector. Yeah, we focus, but that's the digital agency, and the guys go great there. And lastly, we have the business consulting. So we consult to across about 200 different businesses at the moment, and we focus on scaling them to 7 figures and beyond, because I feel like there's these roadblocks when you're under 7 figures. It's like people they're like, oh, I need to get my marketing right, and so we help them with their marketing, and then I need to get my sales right, and then we help them with their sales. And it's now I'm getting more sales than I've ever had. I need to get better systems. Yeah, exactly. I need systems need to get fixed. And it's like, okay, we help them with their systems, and then it breaks their team, because all of a sudden, I need to be a better leader. I need a better culture. I need a better customer experience. I need to learn how to scale. I need to understand my cash flow properly. So what we do is we essentially, they had a business problem, but they don't realize they had a business problem because they just thought they had a lead generation problem. So over a year, we essentially coach them through, all those little hurdles that they have, and people come and stay year on, year out. We've been coaching for about 5-6 years now. We've coached, thousands of people, and we've got, multiple hundreds of them to the $1 million and beyond, which is fantastic. And, that's just one of the businesses that we sort of run. And we have a Pilates studio as well. So that sort of runs, just sort of does its thing, like a reformer Pilates studio. It's just, someone comes up with us, hey, you should do this, and then we do it. There's only so many hours in the day, so there's nothing else happening in the horizon. We'll just keep growing the gyms and the consulting business and the agency, and the Pilates studio will probably stay at one, and the app will keep growing. So I'm more of a health sector kind of guy. I said to you at the start, I like people achieving their potential in their body. I like people achieving their potential in their business as well. And that's what I love to see. I can see that so many people are living in 70 to 80% of their capacity. Some are even 20%, but 70 to 80% of their capacity in life. It's like they just need someone to help them unlock the other 30%. And I think that's what my life's mission is helping people unlock the missing 30% that gets them to fulfillment.
Amazing. So you are Travis Jones. You are mostly at rbtgyms.com. I will give you the last word. And I appreciate you being here and hanging out with me so early in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciated being here on the podcast today.
Hey, it was an honor. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.